Hello, welcome to Digital Learning. I'm Connie Colosi, Director of Media Text and Digital Learning. And for our episode today, we are going to be looking at how we can use formative assessments in a math classroom. And I have with me Mr. James Wilson. Welcome, James.
Thank you.
James is a Technology Integration Coordinator in my department who has recently joined us. And so, James, tell us a little bit about your journey and how you got here.
Okay. A few years ago, I was a high school math teacher looking for ways to get kids excited about a subject area that most of them struggle with. And so I began to search out and use a lot of technology in my classroom. And so doing this allowed me to make good connections with the kids and got me noticed in the district. From there, I was asked if I was interested in being a staff developer or math coach, and I felt that I could really help more students by taking on that role, and so I did, and I got the position and had the privilege of working at Largo Middle for 3 years as their site-based staff developer. Went on from there to do a couple of years of math coaching at the district level with middle school algebra and geometry teachers, and then the technology integration coordinator position became available and I applied for that.
So you've been in a lot of math classrooms.
I have.
And you've been in the math classrooms of a lot of our schools that are struggling with proficiency in math. So what are some of the challenges that you see for teachers and for students in math class?
Well, with teachers, they first have to overcome the obstacle of students who have experienced failure in math, usually multiple years prior to sitting in that teacher's classroom. And as educators, we all still have the goal of getting kids to be proficient, and so there's that pressure that teachers feel. For students, unfortunately, society doesn't view math inability as that big of a deal as, say, reading. When a person can't read, then we pull out all stops to make sure that they can read. Math is just as important, but it hasn't had that much of a focus. So students have learned to be okay with not being successful with math, and that diminishes their effort to try. Even when they're in a class with a great teacher who's using great processes, you still have to overcome that situation.
Well, that sounds pretty tough, but you've seen some teachers overcome that situation, and we had a chance to visit Dr. Sternos' math classroom at Largo Middle School recently. And so we actually have an interview coming up. Tell us about this classroom we're going to take a look at.
We're going to take a look at, it is an algebra classroom at Largo Middle School. The teacher started off the year with high expectations of the students. She's very into using collaborative structures and your atypical lecture style of instruction. And then she has always been willing to try new things, including integrating technology into the classroom.
All right, so we're going to watch, she's going to refer to a particular application that you shared with her. What is that?
The application is called Quizizz. It is a web-based platform that allows teachers to formatively assess students' ability in a game-type atmosphere.
Okay, well, let's hear Dr. Sterner tell us about it.
So this class here is, there's actually about 26 of them, but they are Algebra 1 honors on the, in the IB program, the International Baccalaureate Program. They're one of my louder groups, but they're usually engaged and on task. So they had pre-algebra last year, and then they had 6th grade math. This classroom here is strictly 8th grade. Some of my algebra classrooms are 7th and 8th grade combined.
This is not just a quiet classroom.
This is not a classroom.
But like you said, they're very engaged.
They are.
So what are they doing?
So right now what we're doing is we are reviewing for the EOC next week. So we've been doing this for a couple of weeks. So what they are doing right now is I take a topic that they need to review for the EOC and I turn it into stations. So 3 of the stations are a review worksheet that shows them the steps on how to solve the problems, just in case I can't get to them. And then 3 of the stations we use the Quizizz app. So the Quizizz app is quizzes that they can do that I choose from or that I create to help them reinforce the concept they're learning. The Quizizz app allows them to use interactive memes and see a leaderboard to find out who's in first place, who's not, and then the memes just, you know, they're cute and fun, so the kids like them.
So are they competing within their small groups, or are they competing within larger groups?
They're actually competing within my whole algebra group. So I keep the Quizizz open for 2 days, so I'm not constantly changing codes, because then I lose my mind sometimes. So they're actually competing with all their algebra classmates between the 4 classes that I have.
So how do they actually access this application?
So I write on the worksheet for them. It tells them to join the Quizizz.com. They can either use their phone or their computers, and then there's a game code that is given to me that I write on their station, and they just type in their game code, and then they type in their name, and then they can start the quiz. And then those that are on phones, I do monitor the groups because so that way they're not where they're not supposed to be. But it's easier sometimes for them just to be on the phones because computers sometimes glitch out or not loading or whatever. So, and then I only have 12 computers in my room to begin with anyway, so that allows them to at least access the game.
So having cell phones at school is a bit controversial. Tell us about your view on that.
It is controversial because the kids can, you know, be on inappropriate things or not doing what they're supposed to be doing. So we laugh and joke because I literally do not sit down for 6 hours a day because I'm always monitoring the groups. And I tell them, if you are on what you're not supposed to be on, then I will just go ahead and take your cell phone, and now you'll be forced to use a computer. So they've respected the rules and understood them, and so they are on only what they're supposed to be on. But I do hold a firm policy that I will take your phones if you're not where you need to be.
So I noticed you walking around with an iPad in your hand. What were you doing with that?
So with the Quizizz app, I'm able to view the reports, and the reports show me how many questions the students got right or how many questions the students got wrong. So and then some students don't like to actually work and will just run through the app. So it allows me to see what they're doing, and then I'm able to keep them on task. And if I don't like their results, then I'll make them go back and do the quiz again. So that forces them to not run through the quiz and to do what they're asked to do and stay on task. In the Quizizz platform, you can search for quizzes that other teachers have made, or you can create your own quiz. And they're not like by specific folders. You do just like a blanket search on the topic that you want. You do have to be careful with some of the quizzes though, because sometimes there's a typo, or sometimes there's duplicate answers. So just making sure that the quiz is appropriate and the answers are appropriate.
So are you actually, have other teachers just built these and left them there?
Yes, they built them and left them there. Yeah, and then you can create your own also.
What other types of technology have you used?
So in this room, because it is all my classrooms, they are pretty large. So we also use the Doceri app, which allows me to control the room from anywhere so that I'm able to keep classroom management and they're not all over the place, which the kids really like also. We do use Khan Academy to reinforce concepts. I did a lot at home with Khan Academy for them to review stuff that they were struggling on with their bi-weekly assessments.
So like you use Khan Academy for homework?
Yeah. Yes, yes.
And what does that do for them in terms of homework?
So what I did was, when we had a biweekly assessment or their MAP assessments, I could see what areas the students were struggling on. And so I had the students look at their own data, and they had a review sheet. And out of the review sheet, they had to choose 3 of the 4 categories. And the 3 of the categories were linked to the Khan Academy practices and the videos. And so they had a week to review the worksheet and do 3 of the 4 categories based on what their own struggles were. And it helped reinforce what they were struggling with and get the extra practice that they needed beyond what I could do in the classroom.
So what's your prediction for EOC?
The way we're looking right now, we're looking at about a 90% pass rate based on their biweeklies, their midterms, and their MAP assessment.
Wow, that's impressive. So
yes.
From your mouth to God's ears.
Yes, I'm like, please don't mess it up.
So James, I saw a lot of stuff going on in that classroom, and it's middle school, and they look like middle school kids to me. What are some things that she had set in place to make that happen in that room?
The first thing is the expectations of participating and following both school and classroom rules that she established.
Yeah. And I noticed she had, there was something up on her projector. What was that?
That was a timer, because one of the things that as a coach, that when we go into classrooms, we notice that what we have in our mind as teachers, as far as a timing element, usually we don't really stick to. So having that visual for both the teacher and student to make sure that we keep a lively pace during instruction is critical to learning.
So the teacher is mindful that time is going by, and the students are mindful that time is being monitored.
Yes.
So that's good. One of the things I heard her mention in there, she was talking about the Doceri app. So tell me a little bit about the Doceri app.
So the Doceri app is a sort of a remote control for your laptop. It is using an iPad or tablet. You download the app, and then what it allows the teacher to do is to get out and actually be in the middle of the classroom, so you can monitor and support students while still keeping your instruction flowing.
I was a little surprised. I heard her say that the students like that. What would you make out of that comment?
I said, contrary to most people's thought, whether it's middle school, high school, or elementary, kids look for and thrive in structure. And so as that teacher has put the structure in place and is there to actually support and monitor kids, that's what they want and need.
So we're mostly talking about Quizizz, but while I diverge to Doceri, how would a teacher that wants Doceri get it?
It is a free app in either the Apple or Google Play Store. Currently, you would talk to your library media person who could do the volume purchase and have that pushed out to all of the iPads that are at the school for the teachers.
We are going to take a quick break and come back, and we're going to talk more about the Quizizz app, and we're going to hear from students. So please stay tuned, and we'll be right back.